Hey there, nightmare seekers. Welcome back to Silent Screams, where we dive deep into the darkest corners of human experience. Tonight, we're peering into the shadows that lurk in the most unexpected places, the dorms we call home during our college years. Grab your blankets and hold them tight, because this story of a psychotic roommate's descent into madness is about to send chills down your spine. Remember, sometimes the most terrifying monsters are the ones hiding in plain sight. I never thought I'd be grateful for the mind-numbing lectures of Professor Jameson's intro to philosophy class. But as I sit here, huddled in the back row of the auditorium, I find myself clinging to every word he drones on about Descartes and the nature of reality. It's better than the alternative, going back to my dorm room where Sarah waits. Sarah, my roommate. The girl who, just 2 months ago, I thought would become my best friend. God, how wrong I was. It started small. So small that I barely noticed at first. A misplaced textbook here, a moved chair there. I chalked it up to my own absent-mindedness, to the stress of midterms and late-night study sessions. But then things escalated. I remember the first night I woke up to find Sarah standing at the foot of my bed, just staring. Her eyes were wide open, unblinking in the dim light filtering through our curtains. Sarah? I whispered, my heart pounding. Are you okay? She didn't respond, just kept staring. Sarah? I tried again, louder this time. She blinked once, twice, then turned and crawled back into her own bed without a word. The next morning, she acted like nothing had happened. I tried to brush it off. Sleepwalking, maybe? But deep down, I knew something wasn't right. The incidents kept piling up. My clothes would go missing, only to reappear days later, reeking of a sickly sweet perfume I didn't recognize. My laptop's search history filled with queries I never made: how to perform an exorcism, signs of demonic possession, ways to trap a soul. I confronted her once, my voice shaking as I asked, Sarah, have you been using my computer? She looked at me, her head tilted at an unnatural angle. Why would I need to? She replied, her voice eerily calm. I already know everything about you, Emma. Everything. A chill ran down my spine. I wanted to run, to tell someone, anyone. But who would believe me? We were just two normal college students to the outside world. Sarah maintained perfect grades, always smiled at the right moments, said all the right things to our professors and classmates. It was only behind our closed door that the mask slipped. One night, I woke to the sound of scratching. Faint at first, then growing louder. In the dim light, I saw Sarah hunched over her desk, her fingernails leaving deep grooves in the wood as she carved something. As Sarah? I stammered. She whirled around, and I gasped. Her eyes were completely black, like empty voids in her face. When she smiled, her teeth seemed too sharp, too numerous. Oh, Emma, she purred, her voice distorted and layered as if multiple people were speaking at once. You're just in time for the ceremony. I bolted upright, scrambling to turn on my bedside lamp. When light flooded the room, Sarah was back in her bed, seemingly fast asleep. But on her desk, freshly carved, was a symbol I didn't recognize, intricate swirls and jagged lines that hurt my eyes to look at directly. The next day, I went to our resident advisor, Jenny. I poured out everything that had been happening, my voice cracking as I recounted each terrifying incident. Jenny listened patiently, her brow furrowed with concern. When I finished, she placed a comforting hand on my shoulder. "Emma, honey, I understand you're stressed. Midterms are tough on everyone. But don't you think you might be exaggerating a little? Sarah's always been such a sweet girl." I felt my heart sink. Of course she didn't believe me. No one would. As if summoned by our conversation, Sarah appeared in the doorway of Jenny's room. Her smile was sweet, concerned. Perfect. "Emma? Are you okay?" "I've been worried about you," Sarah said, her voice dripping with fake sincerity. Jenny beamed at her. "See, Emma? Sarah cares about you. Why don't you two grab some coffee and talk things out?" I felt trapped, cornered. Sarah's eyes met mine, and for a split second, I saw that inky blackness swirl in their depths. Her smile widened just a fraction too far. "Yes, Emma," Sarah cooed. "Let's talk." That night, I barricaded myself in our shared bathroom, my hands shaking as I dialed my parents' number. The phone rang once, twice. "Emma?" My mom's sleepy voice came through. "Honey, it's 3 a.m. Is everything all right?" I opened my mouth to spill everything, to beg them to come get me. But before I could speak, a shadow fell across the crack under the door. "Emma?" Sarah's sing-song voice called out. "Who are you talking to, roomie? You know it's rude to keep secrets." I froze, my blood turning to ice in my veins. "Emma?" My mom's voice grew concerned. "What's going on?" The doorknob began to turn, slowly, despite the chair I had jammed under it. "And nothing, Mom," I managed to choke out. "Wrong number. Sorry." I hung up just as the chair began to splinter. Sarah's face appeared in the widening gap, her grin impossibly wide. "Oh, Emma," she giggled, the sound like breaking glass. "Don't you know? We're going to be roommates forever." The door burst open, and I screamed. That was 3 days ago. I haven't been back to our room since. I've been bouncing between lecture halls and the 24-hour library, catching naps where I can and avoiding Sarah at all costs. But I know I can't keep this up forever. As Professor Jameson's voice drones on about the nature of perception and reality, I feel my eyelids growing heavy. I haven't truly slept in days. Maybe if I just close my eyes for a moment. A hand touches my shoulder, and I jolt awake with a gasp. The lecture hall is empty now, shadows stretching across the rows of seats. How long was I out? "Emma?" Sarah's voice, sickeningly sweet, comes from right behind me. "I've been looking everywhere for you, roomie. It's time to come home." I turn, slowly, dreading what I'll see. Sarah stands there, but she's wrong. Her limbs are too long, joints bent at impossible angles. Her smile stretches literally from ear to ear, teeth gleaming in the fading light. "No," I whisper, scrambling back. "This isn't real. You're not real." Sarah, or the thing wearing Sarah's face, laughs. The sound echoes unnaturally in the empty hall. "Oh, Emma, haven't you figured it out yet? Reality is what I say it is." She reaches for me with elongated fingers, nails sharp as razors. I tumble out of my seat, sprinting for the exit. But the doors won't budge. "You can't run from me, Emma," Sarah's voice echoes from everywhere and nowhere. We're bound together now. Forever. I spin around, desperate for an escape route. But the lecture hall seems to stretch and warp around me, rows of seats turning into a maze of shadows and whispers. No, 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 I mutter, squeezing my eyes shut. This isn't happening. Wake up, Emma. Wake up. A cold hand clamps down on my wrist. My eyes fly open to meet Sarah's pitch-black gaze. Time to go home, Rooney, she grins. We have so much to talk about. As she drags me into the encroaching darkness, I can't help but wonder, is this all in my head? Has the stress finally made me crack? Or is Sarah really something other? Either way, I know one thing for certain, I can't keep running forever. Sooner or later, I'll have to face whatever Sarah has become. And God help me when I do. But for now, as the shadows swallow us whole, all I can do is scream. The darkness swallows us whole, and for a moment, I'm lost in a void of nothingness. Then, suddenly, I'm back in our dorm room. But it's different. The walls seem to pulse with an unnatural rhythm, and shadows dance in the corners of my vision. Sarah releases my wrist, her elongated form folding itself onto her bed with inhuman grace. Welcome home, Emma, she purrs, her voice a cacophony of whispers and screams. We have so much to discuss. I back away until I hit the wall, my heart pounding so hard I fear it might burst from my chest. What are you? I manage to choke out. Sarah's grin widens impossibly. Oh, Emma. I'm whatever you fear most. I'm the thing that goes bump in the night. I'm the monster under your bed and the voice in your head. She leans forward, her black eyes gleaming. But mostly, I'm hungry. A scream builds in my throat, but before it can escape, the room plunges into darkness. I feel something brush against my leg, cold and slimy. The air grows thick with the stench of decay. Do you want to know a secret, Emma? Sarah's voice whispers, seemingly from everywhere at once. I've always been here. Waiting. Watching. You humans are so delicious when you're afraid. Suddenly, the lights flicker back on. Sarah is inches from my face, her features twisted into something barely recognizable as human. Her jaw unhinges, revealing rows upon rows of needle-sharp teeth. I duck and roll, narrowly avoiding her grasp. My hand closes around the lamp on my desk, and I swing it with all my might. It connects with a sickening crunch, and Sarah, or the thing pretending to be Sarah, staggers back. You can't fight me, Emma, she hisses, black ichor oozing from the wound. I'm part of you now. Part of this place. As if in response to her words, the room itself seems to come alive. The floorboards ripple and buckle, the walls bleed a thick, dark substance. From the corner of my eye, I see faces pressing against the surface, mouths open and silent screams. What do you want from me? I cry, desperately searching for an escape route. Sarah laughs, the sound like breaking glass. Want? Oh, Emma. I want everything. Your fear, your pain, your very essence. She takes a step forward, her form shifting and writhing. But most of all, I want you to join us. With inhuman speed, she lunges at me. I dive to the side, but not fast enough. Her claws rake across my arm, leaving burning trails of pain. I cry out, stumbling towards the door. but as I reach for the handle, I hesitate. How many times have I tried to escape, only to find myself back here? What if there's no way out? That's right, Emma, Sarah coos, her voice dripping with false sweetness. You're beginning to understand. There's no escape. No help coming. It's just you and me, forever. Something inside me snaps. A surge of anger cuts through the fear, hot and fierce. No, I growl, turning to face her. I don't accept that. Sarah's eyes widen in surprise, then narrow with glee. Oh, and what are you going to do about it, little human? I take a deep breath, centering myself. I'm going to fight. With a primal scream, I charge at her. Sarah's form twists and writhes, growing larger, more monstrous. But I don't falter. I've spent weeks running, hiding, doubting myself. No more. We collide in a tangle of limbs and claws. Pain explodes across my body as her talons tear into me, but I don't let go. I focus on every scrap of anger, every moment of fear and frustration, and I push back. To my shock, Sarah begins to shrink. Her monstrous form wavers like a mirage, flickering between the creature of nightmares and the girl I once knew. No, she shrieks, her voice a cacophony of inhuman sounds. This isn't possible. You can't resist me. But I can. I realize now that this thing, whatever it is, feeds on fear, on doubt, on the darkness within us all. And while those things are part of me, they don't define me. Get out of my home. I roar, pouring every ounce of strength I have into pushing her back. The room trembles around us. The faces in the walls contort in silent screams. And Sarah begins to dissolve. Her form unravels like smoke in the wind, wisps of darkness swirling around us. This isn't over, her voice echoes, growing fainter with each word. I'll always be here, waiting in the shadows. With a final, ear-splitting shriek, she vanishes. The oppressive atmosphere lifts, and suddenly, I'm alone in a perfectly normal dorm room. The only evidence of the nightmare is the racing of my heart and the wounds on my body. I sink to the floor, exhausted and shaking. Did I imagine it all? Was it some kind of shared delusion or mass hysteria? A soft knock at the door makes me jump. Emma? Jenny's voice calls out. Are you okay? I heard screaming. I take a deep breath, steadying myself. I'm fine, I call back. Just a bad dream. But as Jenny's footsteps retreat down the hall, I can't shake the feeling that it wasn't just a dream. The shadows in the corners seem a little darker, the silence a little too complete. I stand up on shaky legs and begin to pack a bag. I don't know where I'll go or what I'll do, but I know I can't stay here. Not with the lingering doubt that Sarah, or whatever that thing was, might return. As I zip up my backpack, I catch a glimpse of movement in the mirror. For a split second, I see Sarah's face, her eyes black as pitch, grinning at me. I blink, and it's gone. But her final words echo in my mind, I'll always be here, waiting in the shadows. I shudder, turning away from the mirror. Maybe she's right. Maybe this isn't over. Maybe the darkness will always be there, lurking just out of sight. But I'm not the same person I was when this nightmare began. I'm stronger now, braver, and if the shadows come for me again, I'll be ready. I take one last look around the room that has been both my home and my prison these past months. Then, with a deep breath, I step out into the hallway, closing the door firmly behind me. The future is uncertain, filled with potential dangers and lingering fears. But for the first time in what feels like forever, I'm not running away. I'm moving forward, ready to face whatever comes next. As I walk down the corridor, the lights flicker once, plunging the hallway into momentary darkness. In that split second, I swear I hear Sarah's laughter, distant but unmistakable. I quicken my pace, my heart racing. The nightmare may be over, but its echoes remain. And in the back of my mind, a chilling thought takes root. What if it wasn't just Sarah? What if there are others out there, hiding behind friendly faces, waiting to prey on the unsuspecting? I push the thought aside, focusing on putting one foot in front of the other. Whatever comes next, whatever horrors may be lurking in the shadows, I know one thing for certain: I survived the monster in my dorm room. I faced my fears and came out stronger. And if I can do that, I can face anything. As I step out into the cool night air, the campus sprawling before me, I take a deep breath. The future is uncertain, but for the first time in months, I feel a glimmer of hope. I adjust my backpack and start walking, leaving behind the dorm that was once my prison. But even as I move forward, I can't shake the feeling that somewhere, in the deepest shadows of the night, Sarah is watching, waiting. And I know, with a certainty that chills me to my core, that this is just the beginning. The real horror, the true test of my strength and sanity, is yet to come. But for now, I walk away from the past, into an uncertain future. And as the dorm fades into the distance behind me, I make a silent promise to myself: no matter what comes next, no matter what horrors await in the shadows, I will not let fear control me again. I am a survivor. And whatever nightmares the world has in store, I'll face them head on. The night stretches out before me, full of possibilities and hidden dangers. But for the first time in months, I'm not afraid. I'm ready. Let the monsters come. This time, I'll be waiting for them,